Hey everyone, this is Scribbler. This might be a little bit of a long video, but I've got a lot of info I want to try to cover. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to be. First thing you'll probably notice is I have a webcam. I'm doing face cam for this because Cappy graciously sent me a webcam recently, so I figure I might as well use it for this because I'm going to be recording on Pokemon Showdown and it's got a lot of blank space anyways. Also, my layout's probably not perfect. I'll try to improve it as time moves on, but for now, that's what I'm rocking with. It will change. But yeah, for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, or even if you do follow me on Twitter, you might not know that I'm really into Pokemon. I have played like every Pokemon game. I've followed Pokemon YouTubers for a long time. I watch a lot of Pokemon content, but I've never made any on this channel. And for the past year or so, I've been following draft leagues like really closely, and I've tweeted about them a few times. And recently Vernon invited me to the CBL, which is a draft league featuring many people in the UHC community. And so I'm in here for the latest season, and I'm really excited. And we just recently completed our draft, and so I figured I'd do a video. I wanted to put this content on the channel because I think this is really interesting stuff. And show like a different side of me, probably not a lot of people know about because I haven't never done Pokemon stuff on the channel, and I play a lot of Pokemon. I love Pokemon, so I figured why not. So for those of you who don't know anything about Pokemon Draft League, it's basically like any kind of draft league, like fantasy football or whatever, which I do that as well. If you guys didn't know, probably didn't. So basically, Pokemon are separated into tiers based on their, like many different factors, their viability basically. And we go through each tier. Well, like you can draft them in any order you want, but you draft Pokemon from each tier and form a team, and everyone else also drafting the Pokemon, so they go off the draft board, and you kind of have to work around what your team wants and other people's picks and whatnot. So this season we did is an Ubers League, which Uber is basically the upper echelon, the best of the best Pokemon, but because some of those Pokemon are absolutely broken and should never be used in anything ever, they were not available to be picked, thank God. And so we've just got the good of the best, you know, and it's gonna be good. Sorry, thirsty. So, to start with the draft, I'm just going to go through the Pokemon I drafted in the order that I drafted them and talk briefly about what I like about them, why I drafted them, what I'm excited about, just fun stuff. Okay, so also I like doing themed nicknames, so I did the theme nickname. If anybody knows what the nicknames are from, you're a cool dude, I like you. Okay. Moving on, so the first Pokemon I drafted is my first Ubers pick. There were two Ubers tiers. This is Lunala. Lunala is pretty incredible as a Pokemon. It's got a glaring weakness, that being that it is Psychic Ghost typing. So it is quad weak to both Ghost and Dark type Pokemon, which are pretty prominent in their strong Pokemon of each. But at the same time, nothing really wants to 1v1 Lunala as long as it's on full health, because of its nifty little ability here, Shadow Shield. If this Pokemon is at full HP, damage taken from attacks are halved. It's basically multi-scale, but it just has a different name because it's Lunala. It's got to be special. And this thing is a monster. It's not incredibly fast. It's got a really decent speed tier. So, like, it's not incredibly fast, but like you can slap a Choice Scarf on it, it'll outspeed a lot of things if they aren't scarfed, and it outspeeds just general things. It's not the fastest Pokemon, but it's really serviceable for its speed. It hits like a truck. It's got a signature move, Moongeist Beam, Ghost type move. It'll just destroy anything that's not normal type. Lunala, I built a lot of my team around Lunala because it is a very powerful Pokemon that can literally like sweep teams if I get in the right position. Could run Calm Mind, set up. As long as I can keep this thing at full health, it's not going to die to like any hit, unless it's like a Choice Specs Darkrai or something, because it can actually get one shot through Shadow Shield if it's the opponent, like if it gets hit by a strong enough thing. But that's generally not going to happen. Generally, if I can get Lunala in safely at full HP, if I can keep hazards off the field or whatever, this thing is going to take lives, and I'm all for that. Lunala's a really strong Pokemon, really looking forward to use it. There's a lot of different sets I can run with it, like specs to just kill things even harder. I could run Scarf like I mentioned, Calm Mind, this thing gets Defog if I want to do that for some reason. A lot of interesting things. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Lunala. I drafted it first overall and kind of built the rest of my team around it in a way so that it can do what it's meant to do. So the next Pokemon I drafted is Hydreigon. This Pokemon is super good in Draft League because it is very versatile. There's like, this Pokemon has so many moves. It's really got 4 move slot syndrome, especially in Draft League, because there's so many different things you want, so many different moves you want this Pokemon to have, and it only has 4 move slots, and so you can only do so much with it at any given week. But at the same time, there's so much potential. The opponent's never going to know what set I'm running because there's so many different sets I could possibly do, and I'm very interested in running Hydreigon. It pairs very well with Lunala because it's Dark type, so it resists both Ghost and Dark moves, the 2 things I mentioned that Lunala's quad weak to. It's just a very solid Pokemon overall. This thing could be a sweeper. It has Defog to clear hazards. It can U-turn. It can U-turn. It can. It's actually one of my Z captains. So for the league, we had to choose two Pokemon to be our Z captains, and only those 2 Pokemon can use Z moves. And so I chose Hydreigon as one of them because it's a very versatile Pokemon. It's got a lot of good coverage with very powerful moves. Like, I could run like Fire EMZ, Fire Blast, and just blast something with Fire Blast. Draco Meteor with Draconium Z, just destroy something. Hydreigon's got a lot of power, a lot of coverage. This thing is a really good Pokemon that has so much potential, especially in Draft League format, where just having the versatility and utility is incredibly useful. So really looking forward to using Hydreigon. It's a good Pokemon, especially great in Draft League. I'm excited. Now, my next pick is actually not my 3rd pick. I drafted Skarmory here in this position, but we were given a short period after the draft to do transactions for free, switch out any Pokemon we didn't want. This is the only transaction I made. So I switched out Skarmory for Heatran because I picked up Tapu Bulu later in the draft when I wasn't expected to. It's actually my next one. I'll get to there in a second. But Heatran is a very good Pokemon. It's got Flash Fire, so I can just switch in on a Fire type and get a special attack boost. Super good. It's very defensive. Can only really be hit by ground types, like, very effectively. And that's why it pairs so well with Tapu Bulu, because grassy terrain reduces power of a lot of the strongest ground type attacks like Earthquake. So this thing will be able to switch in, take hits, especially when grassy terrain's up, like Earthquake's not touching it, and it can dish out damage too. It's got a 130 special attack stat. That's pretty decent. A lot of different sets I can run in this thing. It's mainly going to be like a defensive kind of stalling mon, but it can do like, it's got like stall break sets. There are a lot of really cool stuff with Heatran, and I'm really looking forward to using it. This thing's pretty sick. And it also is a steel type. It's a very important thing for Draft League, is getting the Dragon Steel Fairy core, because those 3 typings cover each other's weaknesses really well, and pairing my Dragon of Hydreigon, my Steel type, and Heatran, and my Fairy type, Tapu Bulu, was my next pick. And this thing, I drafted a lot of my team around this as well once I drafted it, because this thing, Grassy Terrain is just such a powerful powerful effect. Just getting Grassy Terrain up boosts grass type attacks, reduce the damage of ground type, and it provides healing for grounded Pokemon, which is super useful. I can use that to potentially boost Lunala back up to full health if it takes like spikes damage or something. Like a lot of different applications for Grassy Terrain, and I'm really excited to use Bulu itself as a Pokemon. This thing is strong. I'll probably run like Band and Life Orb, Lefties, a lot of different things I could run on it, and it can just hit like a truck. Wood Hammer one-shots like everything in Grassy Terrain, but the recoil kind of sucks. Only thing kind of unfortunate with Bulu, it's not very fast. 75 speed is like okay, but it's pretty slow. It'll outspeed like the intentionally slow mods, but it won't outspeed really anything else. And Scarf isn't like super viable on Bulu, but maybe I will run it at some points. I don't know. But yeah, Bulu is mainly here for the Grassy Terrain to set up from other mons to do a lot of damage, and it itself can just hit things like a truck. So I'm excited to use Bulu. It's a good Pokemon. Yeah. Next up, we've got Mega Man Ettrick, and so obviously we can only get, well, I guess you can get more than one Mega, but you can only use one Mega a week. I don't know why you draft more than one, but yeah, we get to draft a Mega Pokemon. I drafted Mega Man Ettrick because I feel like it pairs really well in Grassy Terrain, like I said, with the ground type immunity. It helps give me another like electric type coverage, because it can get Lightning Rod when it's in normal Man Ettrick form, and then I can switch in an electric type attack, then Mega Evolve, get the Intimidate off. This thing is really good for like Volt turning, because I've got the U-turn on Hydreigon and Volt Switch. With Man Ettrick, it can do, so I can get a lot of a what's the word? Why am I forgetting it? I don't know. I'm blanking right now. I get a lot of initiative. Is what the word I'm looking for, by switching around a lot between those two Pokemon and another one that I'll be covering later in this video. I've got a lot of Volt turn potential in this team to keep the initiative, keep the momentum in my favor, and just constantly try to stay one step ahead. This thing's super fast. The stats don't even show the Mega form. It's a lot faster, it hits a lot harder. It's sort of frail, but it's going to do a lot of damage, and it's going to be really hard for opposing teams to cover when it's just in. Like, there's not too much you can do. This thing, it's got good coverage. It can run Overheat, do a massive amount of damage to grass types try to switch in to cover it. Get HPI, so probably run commonly to smack up like dragon types. And yeah, just a very powerful Pokemon. Very hard to switch into. I'm really looking forward to using it. Also, HPI is for ground types too. Like, yeah, nothing really wants to be in on a Mega Man Ettrick, and hopefully I can take a lot of advantage on that. Next up, I drafted Mudsdale. Mudsdale is a really good defensive mon. This thing, it's my first Stealth Rocker I drafted, actually. Heatran can run Stealth Rocks too. That was important. I forgot. I forgot to mention it because I didn't actually draft Heatran originally. I don't know, so I didn't think about that. But I thought about Stealth Rocks when I drafted Mudsdale, because I didn't have a Stealth Rocker at that point. So I needed something to be able to drop Stealth Rocks as a ground type, so it gives me another electric immunity. It's pretty solid Pokemon overall. It just Earthquake things, like just Earthquake things, it sits around, takes hits, and throw Toxic. Like, it's just really bulky, and I kind of needed some bulk on this team. I need things to be able to switch into pivot, and just be able to take hits so I can pivot into my more frail mons in order to dish out a lot more damage. But this thing is no slouch in its own right. 125 attack stat. This thing can hit like a horse, because it is one. So next up, the second half of my draft, I gotta go back. So next up, the next Pokemon I drafted is Tentacruel, because I needed a bulky water type, didn't have a poison type. This thing gets Rapid Spin, it gets Toxic Spikes, Just really good stuff. I think it fit that dynamic in my team at that point really well, and I wanted to use it, so I drafted it. And this thing is pretty good. It does what it needs to. It takes hits. I can get up Toxic Spikes. I can Rapid Spin. Hazard's Wave for Lunala. Just in general, I am looking forward to using it. When I need a water type, this thing will come through, and it will do good work. That's about all it needs to do. Next up, we got Licky. This is kind of a weird one. We're getting into like the lower tier picks now, but I feel like Licky is a really solid one for being in the lower tiers. It's super bulky. This thing can swallow hits forever. It gets Wish. I have a Wish Passion now, so I can Wish Pass into Lunala to recover health if it does take damage. Super useful. It can just like sit around and like Toxic Stall Mons, run Body Slam. I could run AV and run it like specially offensive. A lot of different things you could do with Licky, and it should not be underestimated because it can hit really hard. Like if like you get in that point where it can hit Ice Beam on like a quad effective like Salamence or something, like this thing can do work, and I'm really excited to use Licky. I've used it before in like a Nuzlocke run. It's just a really solid tanky mon that I am excited to use in here as well. It's also a normal type, so it gives me another Go Switch in, which will be very useful for supporting Lunala, which is basically the theme of my draft, is support Lunala to do work. And yeah, I'm really excited to have Licky. Another thing, it's got, is Oblivious the right one? Yeah, Oblivious prevents it from being taunted, so that's super useful. I can run a 4 support moveset and it won't even matter because it can't be taunted, so I can just work straight through taunt and not have to worry about that. So Licky cannot be shut down, and I'm really excited to use him. Next up, we've got Sceptile. Sceptile is kind of an interesting mon. It's just a grass type, but it is super fast, and its hidden ability is Unburden, so it can so like an important tech I can run is like Grassy Seed. I switch it into Grassy Terrain. It gets the Unburden boost, and it just does an absurd amount of damage in Grassy Terrain because it gets a 50% attack boost to grass type attacks. So that's super useful. Definitely run that 1 week when I get the chance. Sceptile will come in, and it has a very good potential to sweep because this thing can hit really hard, especially under Grassy Terrain, and it's getting healed, and as long as I can get it in safely, it has the definite potential to put in work, and I'm really excited to hopefully pull that off one of these weeks because I feel like that would be pretty awesome to do. Okay, next up we've got Machoke. This was my last low tier pick. You may be wondering, why did you draft Machoke? What does Machoke do? And I'll tell you what Machoke does. It's got Guts. It runs a Violite, so it can survive anything. Like basically, I really wanted a fighting type that would be able to support Lunala by being able to pivot in and take a hit. And draft another fighting type you'll see next, but it cannot take a hit. So I wanted a fighting type that could take a hit, and Machoke with a Violite can most of the time, which is really good. So I can pivot in on a dark type and hit it. I can run No Guard Dynamic Punch. That's a thing that is a threat. One thing, Machoke is super slow, but if I can get it in the right situation, I feel like it can do some justifiable work. And like, I don't know, I'll probably only bring it 1 or 2 weeks this season, but when I do, and it's all like theory crafting, I've never like used Machoke, especially in tandem with these other Pokemon, but in theory, I think Machoke can do what I need it to do, and that is to support Lunala. So, you know, I just pray for my boy out here that Machoke can do what we need. But I feel like it can. I feel like it's got the potential to do what I need it to do, and we'll just hope that it does. When when Machoke makes his debut this season, everybody better be cheering for him, and we'll see what he can do. Next up, my last pick is the second Ubers pick. I was the last person to pick in that tier, so I could basically just sit on that pick and nobody could snipe me for the entirety of the draft. So after like the third round, everybody had their pick in that tier, and I didn't, so I just waited to pick it at the end because I didn't need to worry about it. It was just basically just a free pick at that point because nobody could snipe what I wanted, so I just sat on it the entire draft. So it was the last thing, it was my last pick. But I drafted Mosa. Like, there are only the only 3 mons I could actually still draft in that tier by the end. It was the smallest tier, and I might have wanted to draft it earlier. I wanted Lele, but Lele got sniped literally the pick right before me, so I picked up, I was like the 9th pick, by the way, so it wasn't like super bad, but it was alright. Because I was able to, I wasn't like a wheel pick, but I was able to draft fairly concisely with what I wanted. I think Lele was actually the only Pokemon that got sniped, and because Lele got sniped, I picked up Bulu, and my draft changed a lot because of that. But I feel like everything turned out alright to what I needed. So, Mosa. Yeah, so the 3 mons, there was like Mosa, there was Lando Incarnate form, which like basically does what I wanted Mosa to do, but not as much as I wanted it to, you know what I'm saying? And something else that just didn't interest me very much. But Mosa caught my eye because look at this thing speed set. What is that? That's insanely fast. It's not like the fastest Pokemon in the game because Deoxys speed exists, but this thing, super fast, gets U-turn. Combined with my insanely fast Man Ettrick and my bulky Hydreigon, we got a lot of Volt Turn potential on this team. This thing hits like a truck. Nothing wants to switch in on this, but if it does, it's going to take a lot of damage. U-turn does like 70% of things, and that's a U-turn. Yeah, this thing, basically, if I can get it, like, it will never take a hit. If it takes damage, it will die. But if it doesn't take damage, I can get it in. I can just spam U-turn. I can just like run Choice Band, just spam U-turn. It'll never matter. It just does a ton of damage. I can run Life Orb, so I can switch up my move if I don't want to click U-turn in the rare cases. It's a fighting type. It can do damage to dark types, like the things that hurt Lunala. Mosa basically really good Volt Turn with the other members of my team, like Man Ettrick and Hydreigon. Supports Lunala by being able to like one-shot like any dark type ever. Yeah, this thing is just very good support for my team. It actually has, it doesn't have a very deep move pool, but it's got a few different things that I can run and be a little tricksy with it. Yeah, this thing, I'll probably bring it most of the weeks, but like this thing, it's not a guaranteed bring by any means because it is so frail. I'll probably want a more bulky team on some of the weeks, but when I do bring this thing, it is probably like guaranteed to get 1 kill, and that's basically all I need to do. I need this thing to kill the things that threaten Lunala, and then it can go on its merry way and let Lunala sweep. That is the goal. But yeah, this thing is a monster. It has Beast Boost, so if I kill something and I don't switch out, it'll get the boost. Probably to its speed, just because its speed set is so ridiculously high. This thing outspeed like most Scarfers, which is insane. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to using Mosa because I feel like it runs in tandem very well with the rest of my team, and it can do an absurd amount of damage. I'm excited. Overall, I feel like my draft went pretty well. It's not perfect by any means. I don't think it's possible to get like a perfect draft league team, but I am very excited to use it. Yeah, overall, I'm really excited to do this. I've never done a draft league. This will be my first time. I might do really bad. That's par for the course, I think, but looking to get some experience and hopefully play more in the future, because I feel like draft leagues are super interesting and fun, and I'm really excited to begin. So thank you all if you watched this far. If you're looking forward to this content, do whatever the heck you want. Be coming out like weekly whenever I feel like uploading it. And yeah, for like as far as each week will go, we have a battle week, and I'll probably do like I'll record the battles obviously and do like a little short team builder before each one, just showing off what I'm running on my team, like the 6 mods I brought, and my general game plan for the battle. I don't know. I'll try to cover the basics. But yeah, I hope you stick around and watch the Draft League content that I'm going to do if you're interested and excited for it. And I'm looking forward to doing it. So even if nobody watches this, I'll still put up the videos because that's what I want to do. Thank you all. Peace out. Yeah.